I think I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's on my little mind today. Ah, here we go. You know, this week's Torah reading tells the story of Yaakov's exile from his home in Canaan. It takes place over a 30-year span, opening with Yaakov accepting that his journey is more than just a matter of personal survival. Rather, it is something that God planned for him. This realization comes to Yaakov. It comes to him. Why? It comes to him not so much as he thinks about it and God tells him. No, he goes to sleep and he has a dream. Comes to him in a dream, and it shows a ladder, or whatever I said before, a shalom, a ladder or a staircase or a ramp, however it's translated, because it's not used that often. In fact, the only time in the whole Torah is here. It's used this one time. And if any of, like I said before, if any of us were there and saw it, then you'll tell me what it is. I wasn't there. I don't, and if I was, I don't remember that far back. So, um, whatever it is, it's something that reached from the earth all the way to the heavens. And the dream, known to the children of all ages as Jacob's ladder, describes the angels that go up and come down. And when Yaakov wakes up from the dream, he proclaims, God was in this place, and well, I did not know it. God was in this place, and I did not know it. Now that Yaakov knows this, he continues his journey and arrives in Haran, and he meets and immediately falls in love with the beautiful and kind Rachel. Yaakov then works himself to the bone for several years, 7 to be exact, just for the right to take Rachel and the younger sister as his bride. She was the younger of the two. Leah is the older, Rachel is the younger. He loves Rachel. So just when he thinks he's about to reap the rewards of his hard work, Lavan, the Baminke, the Shkutz, his employer, and his uncle, and the father of Rachel, gets Yaakov drunk and switches Leah, his older daughter, for Rachel. And he covers her with the veil. So now Yaakov finds himself in a situation where he now has to work for 7 more years to win Rachel for his wife. That's what we read in the Torah today, or we would have read, and I explained it. But this is a nice bedtime story for kids, isn't it? It's a great bedtime story. And then all of a sudden, without warning, we're told about how Yaakov, his wives, and children quickly leave the home of Lavan. And it is all at this point where we're told about the end of Yaakov's exile. But not before making sure that we understand that our heroes are nothing more than common thieves. You know, if you were going to write a Bible, if you or I were going to write a Bible, would we write about Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and tell about all their tsuris and all their problems and all the things they do wrong? Why would you want to be like them? No, we do. We say, hey, this is what they did right and this is what they did wrong, and we want to be like them. It's interesting, isn't it? Only the Jewish people would do that. But in our tradition, doing something 3 times constitutes a legal action. So what am I talking about? What are the 3 times? Well, let me give you some examples. On Kol Nidre, for 3 times, we represent a court, right? We repeat Kol Nidre 3 times. because it represents a court. We turn the shovel over at a cemetery when we put the earth into the grave, and we place three shovel of empty shovels full of dirt. There's nothing in the shovel because it's upside down. And we put this earth into the grave to make a legal statement to God that we are not doing this on purpose. We choose to do it upside down because we're not happy that you took our loved one from us. And whatever the situation was, we wish the loved one was still with us, alive and healthy. But that's not what it is. So we complain to God 3 times. The shovel is upside down. Today we use the word stole, and it's used in connection with Lavan. First, the Torah tells us that Rachel stole some sort of idol from her father. The next verse says that Yaakov stole Lavan's wits. We all remember how Yaakov, along with the help of his mother, stole his brother's blessing, and that's in quote because he really didn't steal it, he bought it, but stole his brother's blessing. So why I think that we need to put life into perspective. That's why. We have to put life into perspective. That's why we tell you these things about how they're not perfect. Why was Yaakov a thief? To me, there's no question about it. If we look at the world in black and white, no gray, but that is not how life is. We can't look at life in black and white. You can't do it. It's not. There's too many shades of gray in between. The bigger question is, look how Yaakov lived his life. How did he live his life? Did he live his life constantly stealing things? Well, not necessarily, but one thing that happened to him was he was constantly duped into doing things that ultimately caused him to get in very hot water. He was constantly duped. What kind of an ancestor is this that we're supposed to follow? A person who's duped all the time. The real question must be, was Yaakov the biggest idiot of all time, or was Lavan the mother of all charlatans? After all, Lavan got away with deceiving Yaakov in every possible way and in ways that truly mattered. Remember that while Rachel and Yaakov may have stolen an idol, Yaakov didn't steal it, but because he took Rachel with him, he might as well have. She stole it. Avraham broke the idols of his father. That's 2. And remember, while Yaakov stole Lavan's wits, Lavan was truly a disgusting individual. Also remember that it would ultimately be proven that Esau did not really care about his birthright anyway. He sold it for a pot of beans, for a bowl of beans, lentils. What kind of a thing is that? You sell your birthright for a plate of beans? For a bowl of lentil soup? I love lentil soup, but I wouldn't do that. Anyway, the series of events that truly sets Yaakov off really started with him wanting to marry Rachel. As we said, Lavan sent Leah to the chuppah in her place and got Yaakov so drunk he did not know the difference. Then Yaakov stayed and worked for that despicable bum for 20 more years. Oh my God. And during that time, no matter how hard Yaakov worked, no matter how much better things have gotten for Lavan, because of what Yaakov was doing, Lavan lowers Yaakov's pay. You know how many times in the Torah it says, you know how many times Yaakov's pay got pushed down? You know how many times? Over 100. Over 100 times. This is truly a great boss. Who would work for a schlemazel like this man? Who? I'm trying to use clean words. Who would do it? Especially today. 100 times they lower your salary? Doesn't he get a hint? Behind Lavan's back, Yaakov amasses a fortune, however. and he breeds his own flocks. And when Lavan finds out about this, he claims that Yaakov's sheep were not Yaakov's, they belonged to him. Lavan claims that Yaakov had stolen his wealth from him. And once again, Yaakov is portrayed as a thief, a ganef. Again. So in response, Yaakov takes his family and his possessions and steals away from the home of Lavan. Steals away. Somehow or another, Lavan either does not find out about this or does not realize this for 3 full days after Yaakov's departure. Naturally, similar to what Paro did, when Lavan finds out they're not coming back, he gets very angry and he chases after Yaakov. And he does so as quickly as possible. Of course, Paro and the Bnei Yisrael weren't involved yet, but it's a foreshadow of this. And since Yaakov thought he had a good enough lead, he slows down. And so that we have a story, I guess, why else would he slow down? Lavan catches up to Yaakov and shows him no mercy at all. In Bereshit chapter 31, verse 27 and verses 27 through 30, why did you secretly flee and cheat me? You did not even allow me to kiss my sons and daughters goodbye. Why did you steal my gods? Meaning his idols. And Lavan then began rummaging through Yaakov, Leah, and Rachel's tent, looking for the stolen idols. That was the last straw for Yaakov, as he could no longer contain himself. Up until now, he hadn't lost his temper. Now he does. Bereshit 31, verses 36 through 42. And Yaakov became angry, and he fought with Lavan. Just listening to how Yaakov fought for this is where we get our true lesson in life. What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Did you find your idols? I served you faithfully for 20 years, going beyond the letter of the law. So new? This is anger. If I get angry, I'm not that civil. I'll tell you that much. I don't know. Is this really anger? Just because the Torah says Yaakov became angry, did he really become angry? Is this the reaction of an angry man? Is that how any of us here today would answer a person like Lavan who was challenging him or her or you or me after you got your freedom? Oh, you know, the Midrash, the stories that the rabbis write, goes so far as to say that we should have expected that Yaakov should have taken physical action against Lavan. In other words, beat him up. Instead, Yaakov only uses words of consolation or conciliation. He only uses words of conciliation. He seemed to be trying to calm down his father-in-law to stop the argument, even though he himself was angry. As we can see, even in his anger, Yaakov did not lose his composure. He didn't. So imagine, if you will, that you go to a movie with some friends. Just go with me here for a second, because we got to figure this out. Imagine we go to a movie with friends, and for some reason, the friend who is sitting right next to us, right next to you or me, has a motor mouth, needs to put kaopectate in their mouth because they have diarrhea of the mouth. They don't stop talking. The mouth doesn't stop moving. It just blah, 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 all through the movie. The words just keep coming out of his or her face as the oral cavity under his or her nose keeps moving. No matter what happens in the movie, the person sitting next to you keeps talking and going on and on and on and on about who knows what. Who's paying attention? You just spent a lot of money to see this movie, and by God, you want to hear it as well as see it. Your friend has interrupted this movie at least 1,000 times. You get the picture? Is your blood boiling? You're getting ready to commit murder to get the person to stop talking. You think no one else will see. It's dark in the theater after all. But the talking doesn't stop, and you get this burning feeling inside, and you simply cannot take it any longer. You begin to feel yourself getting angrier and angrier. You feel your blood boiling. You feel your face getting hotter and hotter and redder. Your blood is boiling out of your ears. And you begin to ask yourself, what am I going to do to shut this idiot up? What to do? Should you lash out? Should you use angry, vulgar words? Or will you learn from Yaakov when he was angry and say something like, I'm sure you didn't realize, but when you are talking, you can't hear the movie. It's really nothing, but wouldn't you like to hear the movie? I have a small request. Can we talk about this after the movie and stay calm? Could you stay calm? Could you? I know I can't. The true test of a tzaddik is how we behave when we're truly angry. Well, I ain't no tzaddik. I can tell you that much, because when I'm angry, I don't behave as well as I should, or as anybody would want me to. Most of us don't. But Yaakov, like all our ancestors, were nothing more than real people with real issues. They are. That's all they were. They weren't gods. They weren't demigods. They weren't special. They weren't from heaven or anything. They were just people who loved God. They did things that were so extraordinary in their day that they shaped our entire civilization. Not just the Jewish people, all of civilization. Yaakov's special gift to us was his patience, his kindness, his even temper. May we all learn from Yaakov's good nature. Like his dream, may we all learn that God is wherever we are, and wherever we are at all times. Even at this very moment, God is there to help us. And God help us if someone ever sits next to us in the movie theater and doesn't stop talking. Remember, God is there too. Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.